Hello friends, my name is Hadassah Treu. I'm an award-winning Christian author, blogger and poet. Today I want to talk about 5 steps how to deal with a distressing situation. Do you know that there are 5 steps that we can deal with the distressing situation biblically and successfully? Based on 1 Samuel chapter 30, I want to share with you 5 steps how to deal with an adverse situation that causes great stress and bitterness. In 1 Samuel chapter 30, David and his men has just come back from the Philistines to Ziklag, and they were very tired. So we read in the Bible, when David and his men reached Ziklag, they found it destroyed by fire, and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. 1 Samuel 30 verse 3. This was a heavy blow and an extremely distressing situation. We read further that David and his men wept aloud until they had no strength left to weep. In verse 4. And not only that, but David's men were so distressed and so bitter that they wanted to stone him, giving him the blame for this unfortunate event. David was greatly distressed. This is said in verse 6. So what would we do if we were in David's place? Let's take a look at how David dealt with this distressing situation and learn from his good example. He went through 5 steps to successfully handle this adverse situation. So the first step David took was to find strength in the Lord his God. This is said in verse 6. What does it mean to find strength in the Lord and how we can do this? We find strength in the Lord when we look up to Him and acknowledge His constant provision, providence and care. What happened at Ziklag was not a surprise to God. He already saw this and He had already provided a way out. So we are on the right path when we, like David, remember who God is and that He is always by our side ready to help. So the second step, after David found strength in the Lord his God, was that he inquired of the Lord, asking the Lord what to do and how to deal with this stressful situation. This is what is said is 1 Samuel 30 verse 8. David inquired of the Lord, shall I pursue the raiding party? Will I overtake them? God is delighted to answer our questions and our pleas for help. He has already a ready plan so we can step in and take action and deal successfully with the distressing situation. He is ready to provide wisdom, strength, and all needed resources for us to deal with the situation. After hearing God's instructions to pursue the raiding party and God's assurance that He will overtake them, David immediately obeyed. So this is actually the third step he took, to follow God's instructions. He started his rescue mission with 600 men. 200 men were left behind at the Besor Valley because they was very tired to continue. And not only that, but God providentially provided for David to meet one Egyptian who was a slave of an Amalekite. And this Egyptian led David and his men to the Amalekites. And we read in the Bible that they fought them from dusk until the evening of the next day, and none of them got away, in 1 Samuel 30 verse 17. So the amazing result of David's obedience was that he recovered everything what the Amalekites took, including his 2 wives. David brought everything back. This is what is said in verse 19. So when we also decide to inquire of the Lord and to follow His instructions, He gives us everything we need, all the wisdom, resources and help, so we can have victory and deal successfully with the distressing situation. The fourth step David took was to give God the glory with his words. After recovering everything, he faced another challenging situation when they reached the men who were left behind at the Besor Valley. All the evil men and troublemakers among David's people didn't want to share the plunder with them. But David resolved the situation by giving God the glory and saying, "No, my brothers, you must not do that with what the Lord has given us. He has protected us and delivered into our hands the raiding party that came against us." How many times do we forget to give God the glory and thank Him after He has helped us? Let's follow David's good example. The fifth step David took was not only to give God the glory with his words, but also with his generous deeds. He glorified God with his deeds by resolving this situation in a God-honoring way. He decided, and this is what the Bible says, that the share of the man who stayed with the supplies is to be the same as that of him who went down to the battle. All will share alike. David made this a statute and ordinance for Israel from that day to this. 1 Samuel 30 verses 24 and 25. So David reached even further in his generosity, and he sent shares of the plunder to his friends, the elders of Judah. Also he sent gifts to those in all other places he and his men had roamed. This is said in verse 30. So let me once again summarize the steps to face and resolve successfully a distressing situation. The first step is to find strength in the Lord our God. The second step is to ask God what to do. The third step is to follow God's instruction. The fourth step is to give God the glory with our words. And the fifth step is to give God the glory with our deeds. So which of these steps is the most difficult for you? Do you have other tips on how to deal with a distressing situation? Share in the comments. And if you have liked this video, I would be very happy if you like it, share it and comment it. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time.